Hi, my name is Richard. Welcome to my channel. Today I thought I would take a break from two broken down bathrooms and a busted cell phone and think about something more useful, like some music. So today I thought I would share some thoughts on more recent Norwegian progressive rock and jazz music. Uh, why Norwegian? That's where I originally hail from, though I've lived in the U.S. for many years. I have had a lot of fun in the last year or so, kind of reconnecting with what goes on in the Norwegian music scene, and I think it's fair to say it's a lot and a lot of good stuff. So I'll show a few different albums, a few different bands, uh, and two different labels that I think are really strong labels. That does not mean that I get everything from those labels, but uh, they they do catch my attention when I see they have something new coming out. And this is not going to be an exhaustive review of everything that comes out from those labels. It's just of getting a flavor, and maybe a spot to start or something to check into if you're curious. I will start then with Hedvig Mollestad Trio. This is Hedvig Mollestad on the front of the cover here. She's a guitar player. With her on this album and her trio, she also has a bass player and a drummer. The style of music is jazz, progressive music. Really, if you think of it in terms of jazz, I'd say it's maybe a little harder jazz than you're used to. Um, it can get pretty heavy. I like it. It's not death metal jazz or anything like that, but well, it got some drive to it. Really enjoyable. They also have some more mellow tunes on it. This particular album is called Infant Terrible. I may be butchering the pronunciation there. It's from 2014. It was released on the label Rune Gramophone. I'll put a note in the comments under here as to how you spell that. It's not quite the English way, but I suppose in English you'd say something like Rune Gramophone. I will also grant myself a little bit of a disturbance in the force and show a CD because I do not have it on vinyl. This is her 2020 release called Echidna, also from Rune Gramophone. Same kind of general comments as on the last album I showed. This one got really good reviews. I think, and some describe it as somewhat jazzy. I think one place it was noticed as the best progressive rock album last year. Um, but some maybe give you a flavor of what kind of music it is. But I know there are some concert snippets and such out on the. Actually, I think there's a rather long concert out in YouTube land someplace. Recommend you check it out if you think the genres are interesting to you. The label Rune Gramophone as a whole focus on Norwegian artists and kind of in the jazz category, but I would say the jazz category has a bit of a wide berth here. Um, it's not all just one style. Um, I will mention one other band today that I have enjoyed greatly, but I only have CDs, so I will not show it. But Krokofant or Krokofant, I think is a jazzed up, somewhat Van der Graaf generator inspired band. Um, it both Molostar and Krokofant requires to dial that volume up a little bit, I think, if you can, without blowing out your ears, of course. Um, Ear health is important, but yeah, check it out. There's also a lot of other good jazz there. Some that are more traditional, but It can be a little tricky at times, at least some of it, to get a hold of in the U.S. Uh, but I think you can order straight from the record company. I know there are um, some U.S. Businesses that also sells the label, if not everything, at least a good chunk of it. I will then skip over to another record label, Charisma Records, and this is Charisma with a K. Some of you may recall seeing Charisma with a little differently spelled there in the past, and I will start with something I've talked about before, Wobbler. This is their 2017 album, From Silence to Somewhere. As often I think is the case in progressive rock music, you've got some really involved artwork, nice artwork. Not that it always has to be busy, as sometimes it can be also on progressive rock music. I also enjoy, just the photography on the Blue Note albums. I can sit and look at for quite a while. Wobbler has really made an impact, particularly with their last two albums, From Silence to Somewhere, and here the 2020 album, Dwellers of the Deep. Dwellers, both these albums have been ranked pretty high on a site like progarchives.com, and I've seen this album gotten a lot of good reviews out there in different publications. I think of Wobbler as kind of being in the style of Gentle Giant, Yes, King Crimson, 1970s progressive rock, good progressive rock, which is kind of my favorite era, I suppose, of a lot of the music I listen to. Again, nice gatefold. I lucked out and got a colored vinyl version of this on a pre-order. I always have to have the colored vinyl version, but if it's about the same price, I do get the colored version. To be frank, a bit more fun and maybe a bit more collectible for what that's worth down the road. Although that's not really the focus of my record collection. That's listening. Changing bands, but not labeled here, and a little style of music too. Let's go on Charisma. We'll go to Airbag. This is their latest album, A Day at the Beach. That dropped, I think, in March or April of 2020. This is probably the Airbag music I've listened to the most. By the way, those teddy bears there, if you were out early enough to order your album, you'd get the teddy bears that were used for the picture. I do not have a teddy bear. I got this one on golden vinyl, which I think look kind of cool, but again, just I think it was about the same price as the black vinyl, so why not? I'll just quickly show a couple other ones here that all rights removed. This is a remaster, recent remaster. They're not that old, but still they have been remastered. This is their album Disconnected, and they also have yet another album, Greatest Show on Earth, that I do have, but not right here. Airbag is, I think some would call it progressive rock or neo-prog. You may be familiar with Björn Ries if you're familiar with Airbag. Björn Ries is one of the founding members. He also has a solo career under his own name. This BJ or an O in English, RNRIIS. Check out his website, and also Charisma Records if you're interested in his solo music. He is actively, I believe, making a new album that I think might be dropped later this year. Björn Ries also has a YouTube channel of his own with a different focus than certainly mine or the vinyl community channels out there. He has a channel called Gilmorish. That's Gilmorish based on David Gilmour, a guitarist from Pink Floyd. Björn, he really goes after different guitar pedals, using different guitar pedals, different equipment out there. How could you use that to relate to a certain era of sound from David Gilmour? I do play a little bit of guitar, as you can see in the background, although I know Björn Ries and I know David Gilmour, and I probably will never be there because I don't have the time for that, or necessarily the talent, but it's fun for a guitar interested guy to watch. He also has a lot of Pink Floyd-ish, Pink Floyd-based jams out there that are nice to watch. And certainly the Airbag music, I think, you can hear some of that influence in this music. In some ways, I maybe think of some of it as perhaps more melodic, more ethereal. Some of it is kind of perhaps a little bit more somber music at times, or great music. Check out Airbag if you're looking for something to sit down and do some thinking, or if you just relaxing, decoupling a bit. Also on this album, I believe the bass player from Wobbler played on the A Day at the Beach Airbag album as well. Skipping to something even more Norwegian, also on the Charisma label. This band is called Tusmørke. A single word translation would be twilight to English. These guys are kind of psychedelic, progressive folk rock, and I've streamed a bunch of their music. This is the only album I own. They kind of have a wide range. One of their albums even is recording of Norwegian children's songs. Perhaps with not quite all the traditional fixings, if you will, musically, but this is very much, I think, fits the psychedelic, progressive rock, folk rock description. This album, a lot of it is kind of, I think, has some mythical themes, mystical themes. Some lyrics I have yet to really understand fully, and I will admit, when I listen to music, for me it's more about the sound than the lyrics specifically. You will be able to stream this as well. The name of the album is Fjernsyn i farge, or TV in color. I particularly like the last track, Tøyen's Hemmelighet, or Tøyen's Secret, refers to a botanical garden in Norway, and the song really seems to be about what all the properties the different plants have for use in or on the human body. Except from one track on this album, all the lyrics are in Norwegian, so if you do not care for foreign lyrics, this may not be the album for you, or assuming you don't speak Norwegian, but otherwise I've listened to this music a lot in the last week or so and really enjoyed it. They are dropping a new album here shortly, I believe, at the end of February. The title of the album would translate into Nordic crime, and I've read it's themed on the bodies preserved in the Danish bogs that has been found, from thousands of years ago, and I believe for a while turned into an active police case in Denmark because they weren't sure what was going on there, but it turned out to be just bodies that have been, or body that have been really well preserved in the bogs over years. I also, again on this album, or this group, there's some wobbler influences. I'm not sure really what they are yet. If anybody knows, I'd be interested in if you share it in the comments. The band members here are all using pseudonyms, but I've read some places that you have some wobbler guys involved in some of the Tusmyrke albums and such. But I have some more research to do on that myself. I will end with this album, also from Charisma Records. It is Arabs in Aspic. The front cover, I may not show, I don't know how picky YouTube algorithms are on images. Not that it's that horrific, but the album is called Madness and Magic. I've enjoyed that a great deal over the last several months here. I think they have a few albums out. I forget now if this is their third. I could be wrong in that. Again, lengthy progressive rock tracks. So you want to have a little bit of time to listen to this music. I do have the previous album to this too that I have to get into yet. I have that on CD. So those are just some samples of Norwegian music I've enjoyed in the last several months here, and music that I think is really great coming out of, for me, the home country. I hope you enjoyed my video, and please feel free to share your thoughts on any of these bands if you are familiar with them, or check them out and are curious or have any questions you think I might be able to answer. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. Stay well.